Chapter 17. I am sure your house. Lesson 1. Summer 2006. Assembly out of now here. New Century Financial. The country's second largest supreme only originator has a pressing need for cash. Having made $51.6 billion worth of subprime loans in 2005, it is discovering that too many of its loans are going your way too fast, particularly troubling early payment defaults are speaking. Those are loans where the borrowers are in default practically from the moment they agree to the loan. Early payment defaults can can often trigger reproach requests them from investors requiring the lenders to avoid to avoid them back. That is happening to New Century in 2004 in $1 million worth of bad loans. In 2005, that numbers rose. By June of 2006, it has been forced to repurchase an additional in refunding loans. Worse, one of few centuries tried and true techniques for recirculating its repurchase loans is no longer working. In previous years, after buying defaulted mortgage of securitizations, it would simply stick them into a new sale, according to one close overseer. This worked because New Century Land's volume was growing so rapidly that the bad mortgage could be pouring a small part of a big new sale. But by 2006, volume starting to slow. New Century Perpetual Mothing machine is grinding to a halt. Meanwhile, New Century is running low on cash. On August 17, CFO Patty Dogs sent an emails to Brad Morris, the CEO. We started the quarter with in liquidity and we are down to less than 50 um, today. She writes. In explaining his problem to companies, Brad Morris cites continued difficult secondary market conditions leading to warehouse line margin calls here. Um, Investor kicks out, meaning that their investors are defaulting to purchase loans, and loans repurchase internally. Top management begin receiving a weekly report monitors its problems. It has hit a storm watch. Does Wall Street know about these century problems? Of course it does. One Wall Street bankers tell New Century that its problems aren't at the unusual, according to a report done later by a bankrupt city examiners. There are the examiner will write the metric industry-wide increases in early payments, defaults, and lower originators' volumes. Amazingly, Wall Street is still willing to extend a lifeline to New Century. The company rises in the second of 2006, yet investors are largely left in the dark. New Century doesn't disclose here the big increase in early payment defaults on the steering. BlackRock of repurchase claims that the company has received but hasn't yet paid. Instead, New Century tells investors that it believes that repurchase requirements will stabilize the decline. Senate 2. Fall 2006, Larry Linton in the mortgage service. He and his father Larry Litton, Sir founding Little One Servicing, building into one of the nation's largest mortgage services. Inevitably, this service a lot of mortgage for subprime originators, including Bill Dallas, Owen, and WMC, which was founded by Amy Brandt, and which capital bought in 2004. The two combined are cranking out more than $40 billion worth of loans a year. Litton also noticed that the early payment defaults are soaring. The mortgage originators are freaking out and blaming him. The WMC guys are saying you are stuck. Litton recalls he remembered thinking, maybe we're doing something wrong. So Litton comes up with what he calls an ultra-aggressive mob and delivering big welcome pancakes to new homeowners. So there will be no confusions over where the mortgage checks should be mailed, but when the Litton employees arrived on the newly purchased homes, discovery something truly startling. My people come back and said 30% of houses are vacant. Litton recalls. In other words, borrowers who closed on mortgage had so little means to make even the first payment that they never bothered to move in. Litton calls Amy Brandt at WMC. It's kinda hard to collect payment when someone hinted they. You might want to take a look at it, he tells her. Century, December 12, 2006, Monday morning, an auditorium of the officer of Thrift Management. Leo Rainer, yes, that Leo Rainer. He's giving a speech. His tone of voice might mild, but his words convey something else entirely: anger, dismay, worry. The occasion is an all-day housing symphony the ODS is putting on. The rooms has filled with bank, regulators, housing, lobbyists, economics, community activities, and members of the subprime mortgage establishment. Celia Baer, the new chairman of the FDC, he's there. So he's David Berson, the chief economics at Fannie Mae, and John Taylor, the longtime supreme critical from the National Community Reinvestment Coalition. And Paulson makes the welcoming remarks. Congressman Barney Franks give the Luxian speech. The main topic is the supreme business, which now accounts for around a quarter of the nation's mortgage, but which is clearly slumping. Brennery is on a panel with person from Fannie Mae, a banker representing the Mortgage Bankers Associations, and the deputy comptroller of the currency. Their presentations are full of, on the one hand, on the other hand, equivocations. There is general agreement that subprime mortgages are here to stay. A panel devoted to subprime fraud focused entirely on borrower fraud. Incredibly, not a single word is mentioned about the widespread fund being perpetrated by the companies themselves. Ranieri, however, has a much dimmer view of the state of the subprime mortgage industry that most others speaking today. Over the past few years, he has become worried by what has happened to the mortgage-backed securities business. He helped investment in a more innocent time. The lack of proper underwriting. Wall Street, unending desire for a poor quality loans, the white triple B Trenches are being repackaged into the new AAA securities. This is not what Rainery envisioned when he and Larry Fink and others were starting up the market. He had always just assumed that the vast majority of lots in securitizations will be what loans, not bad ones. Why would investors want to buy bad ones? The fact that no one seems to care anymore is shocking to him, and that's what he tells this roomful of supreme experts. Bluntly and forcefully, the men